Good morning, friends. Welcome to this session on calculation of scientific indicators using MS Excel. See, MS Excel is such a powerful package that any kind of calculations, statistical tests can be conducted here. Only thing is you need to sit and explore the capabilities of MS Excel. Here, what I have been trying to do is that I have taken some very popular, mostly used scientific indicators, which I found in various journal articles and theses. I try to give a formula for all these scientific indicators so that when we share this Excel sheet with you, if you're just having the relevant data, you can just fit into these formulae and you can get the immediate answers to all those indicators. So these presentation will help you to prepare minimum 25 tables for your research paper or your thesis work or your MPhil work or your PG project work. And these indicators, I think around 25 are there. They revolve around either authors, they talk about authors, their contribution locally, their contribution in international way, their contribution different levels. They talk about countries, how the countries are collaborating with each other, their relative world output, how far they are performing in a particular field in comparing with the world output in the same field, and all those things. Then we talk about production count. We take how many papers are published. Based on that, we have a lot of indicators. Because citation counts, based on citations, we got a good number of scientific indicators. Then based on yearly output, we calculate many scientific indicators. So based on these fields, we have around 25 scientific indicators. Let's see how these things are calculated. In fact, I am not going to talk much on theoretical aspects of these scientific indicators. And these indicators are devised by scientometricians or bibliometricians over a period of time. See, when one scientific indicator is found and published, people start thinking about it, researching about it, and they make a small change here and there, and they bring out a new indicator. So this is how many of the scientific indicators, sometimes they look similar. They are the same pattern. Only thing is some one or two modifications here and there. So this is a field, an evolving field where you get a lot of new scientific indicators. But we would like to confine this presentation only to the 25 scientific indicators. Apart from this, there are many more in the field which you can explore by yourself. So let's start from the first one. A relative growth rate, RGR, and doubling time is a very popular scientific indicator which you found in almost all the research works. And here it says the yearly publication. I got data for 20 years or something like that. This is the cumulative publications. So 1990 to 55, 1993, 53. So cumulative says that at the end of the first year I have 55. At the end of second year I have 108. How? 55 plus 53, 108 I have. So yearly number of records I got. This you get either from WebExcel or straight away from Web of Science database or PubMed database, Scopus database, no problem. And here, how to calculate relative growth rate? You need to find out two things. One is log value of initial output, the log value of the final output of each and every year. The first step. How to calculate log value? For example, in the beginning of 1992, we didn't have even a single record, so log value is 0. At the end of 1992, we have 55 records. So I calculate logarithm value. How to calculate? Equal symbol, in MS Excel, whenever you want to calculate something, you have to put equal symbol and then you give your calculations 2 by 2, 2 into 3, 10 by 100, whatever you want to give, it will calculate and give you. Okay. If you don't precede it with the equal sign, then this will not be calculated. This will be taken just like a data. Fine. So is equal to ln stands for the function for getting logarithmic value. E16. What is E16? E16 is the number of records at the end of 1992. Fine. Check. Let me go to 1993. 1993. How many records are there in the beginning? It's nothing but 1993. We had 55 records. Am I clear? See, 1992. In the beginning, we did not have any record. At the end of 1992, we had 55 records. Then how many records we have in the beginning of 1993? The same 55. At the end of 1993, we have got 53 records produced in 93. So this 55 plus 53, 108 at the end of 1993. Total output at the end of 1993 is equal to what was published before plus what was published in 1993. Fine. So for the initial value, I did the same thing. The same whatever I got it for D16, the same thing is for here also. And log 2 stands for E17. E17 is, this is E and this is 17. E17 for 108. Fine, it's a log value. So this way, see, the log value of last year's final output will be the log value of current year's initial value. Fine. And this I calculate for every year's output for 108, for 203, for 3 also. So this way, you calculate log value for the initial period and the cumulative end output. Now this is over. Now, what is the step to calculate relative growth rate? It's very simple. G17, that means final log value minus initial log value. So that tells you what is the relative growth rate of all years applications. See, normally what I have seen is that the relative growth rate shows a kind of decreasing, a declining trend throughout the period. You can see here, it starts from 0.67, it has gone down to 0.006. Right. And what about doubling time? So doubling time tells you in how many years a particular output in a particular discipline gets doubled. How many years it takes for a particular research output to double in its count. How to calculate is very simple. So doubling time is equal to 0.063 divided by relative growth rate. It's very simple. See? I have given is equal to 0.69 divided by H17. H17 is the relative growth rate. So this tells you the doubling time for every year. And you can see doubling time, it grows. There is a inverse relationship between relative growth rate and doubling time. It means that when number of applications are increasing, when doubling time shows an increasing trend, it means that it takes more years for the literature to get doubled. Fine. So this is how we can calculate relative growth rate and doubling time. And how to calculate mean relative growth rate is very simple. You total all the, for example, you want to calculate mean RGR first 7 years. So you total all the RGR divided by 7. Very simple. H17 to H20 divided by 7. That tell you mean relative growth rate and mean doubling time. Same way. And this is a formula to calculate mean relative growth rate and mean doubling time. This is the first indicator. Let me move on to second one. Annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Here also we are going to see two scientific indicators. One is annual ratio of growth. It says the formula is last year output divided by current year output. Very simple. For example, let me take 1993 and see how to calculate annual ratio of growth. So see here, E18, what is E18? This is last year's output divided by E17, that is current year output. So last year output divided by current year output. Okay, annual ratio of growth. Okay, it says that the annual ratio of growth is 0.96. It means that if you are taking this 55 as 100, what about 53? It's only 96%. So last year you had 55 articles, that was equal to 100%. This year you are able to get only 53 articles, so the annual ratio of growth is only 0.96. That is 1:0.96. That is the annual ratio of growth between last year and the current year. Fine, good. Now, what is annual growth rate? It says last year output minus current year output divided by last year output. So you can see here E18 is the, what is E18? This is E, this is 8, this is E18 is the current year output. But formula says that last year output minus current year output, isn't it? So when you say last year output is E17. So let me just change the formula. I think E17 minus E18 divided by E17. Okay, and here also this is last year output slash current year output. So last year output is E17, isn't it? I think I have a small change here. Let me change here. Okay. So last year output divided by current year output. So annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Again, I have changed it. Last year output minus current year output divided by last year output. It says 0.04 annual growth rate. So using this formula, you can calculate annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Fine. Let us go to the third one. This is co-authorship index, and it says that number of single author papers in a year divided by total number of single author papers in the study period. You take these two concepts, you calculate the answer, divided by total papers in that year divided by total papers of the study period into 100. Right. See, co-authorship index can be calculated for single authors, can be calculated for two authors, can be calculated for three authors. Okay, this way you can calculate for all kinds of authorship pattern. You can calculate individually. Fine. For example, let me take this single author publications, and the formula says that number of single author papers in a year. So in 1992, how many papers are there? D11, that is 19 papers are there, divided by total number of single author papers in the study period. So during the whole study period, how many single author publications are there? 365 are there. So D11 divided by 365, you get some answer. Divided by total papers in that period. In that period means 1992. How many total? It comes to 55. That is J11 is the total number of papers published in 1992 divided by total papers of the study period. What is the total number of papers published during study period? 7191. Okay, into 100. This tells you what is the co-authorship index for single authored publications in 1992. Fine. How much? It is 680. The same way you can calculate it for all the years. Then you can go and calculate the co-authorship index for two authors. Here, instead of taking single authors, we take two authors. Number of joint author papers in a year divided by total number of joint author papers study period, and rest is C. So this way you can calculate co-authorship index for all kinds of different kinds of authors. Fine. If CAI is equal to 100, it means that the number of publications corresponds to the average within the co-authorship pattern. That means if you take a particular authorship pattern and if you analyze the papers published in that particular authorship pattern, if CAA is equal to 100, it means that the answer what you get is equal to the average within that co-authorship pattern. If it is more than 100, it means that the number of publications are higher than the average. If CA is less than 100, it means that the number of publications are lower than the average. Fine. So this we can calculate co-authorship index for different kinds of authorship pattern. Then comes degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship. See, degree of collaboration is equal to multiple authored publications divided by total publications. Right. So if we take how many papers are published in 1992 divided by how many multiple papers are published in that particular year. For example, I'll take 1992. Totally 55 papers are published, of which 19 are single author papers and 36 are multi-authors papers. This multiple authorship may be either two authors or three authors or four authors or more than four authors. It is immaterial. We just take into account how many papers were authored by multiple authors. Now let me calculate degree of collaboration. The formula is given by C. Subramaniam. It says that multiple author publication, that is G13. What is G13? Multiple author publication 36 divided by total publications. What are total publications? It is E30, that is 55. 36 divided by 55. So degree of collaboration is 0.65. It means that 65% of total publications of 1992 were born out of collaborative research work. So out of 100, 65% is from collaborative research work. Fine. So this we can calculate for all the years individually. And apart from that, you can calculate overall degree of collaboration for the entire research period. So I have taken the research data from 1992 to 2019, and the total publications are 7191, and total multiple publications are 6733, and so the degree of collaboration is 0.94. It's very high, very high, very high. To contrast to this, we can calculate RSA, rate of single authorship. In fact, myself and my guide, we have formulated this particular scientific indicator. We have invented this. In fact, what the formula we have given is that single author publications divided total publications. Okay. For example, in 1992, total publications are 55 and single author publications are 19. So 0.35 is the rate of single authorship. That means out of 100 papers published in 1992, 35% of the papers are born out of single author contribution. If you total degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship, that will be equal to 100. Fine. So this we can do it for all the years, and even you can calculate the mean rate of single authorship for the entire period also. Fine. This is how we can calculate degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship. Let me go to next one called activity index. So it tells you what is the relative research effort of a particular country in a given field. Okay. So what is the relative? When you are comparing your output with the world output, what is your contribution? So that's how it is given by activity index. The formula says that, for example, if you take a country like USA, the activity index says that output of USA in 1992 divided by total output of all the countries in 1992 divided by total output of USA divided by total output of the world. So using this formula, you can calculate the activity index. Here I have given the individual country contributions of 5 or 6 countries from 2001 to 2005. There is the total contributions of each country. India has got 600, US has got 5 to 9, something like that. And here I'll tell you how you can calculate the activity index for each and every country for each and every year. If you take India, the output slowly goes up. It started from 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. It goes. So relatively, the contribution of India in this particular field towards the world research output is increasing. Let's see the activity index. See, what is the formula? D16. What is D16? India's output in 2001 divided by 600. What is 600? Total output of India for all the 5 years. So 100 divided by 600. This first part. But second part, 2790. That is total research output of all the countries in 2001 divided by 13370. That is total output of all the countries in all the years 13370. So what is our activity index? 79 in 2001. It slowly goes up, 87, 95, 103, 111. So our contribution in this field towards world research output keeps on increasing. If you take USA, also same trend. But if you take UK and Canada, just for example, I have shown a declining trend. See 900, 800, 700, 600, 500. You can see the activity index 123, 109, 95, 82, 68. So this how you can find out the relative contribution of a country in a particular field towards the world research output. So activity index will help you. Then comes collaborative coefficient, one which was invented by Ajay Ferruke long back, and this is based on the fractional weightage given to different kinds of authorship pattern. That means, see, sometimes we cannot give equal weightage to all the authors. See, how can you give 1 mark to an author for a paper which is written by himself, a single author? For example, I have done 2 papers. The first paper, I'm the only one, single author. The second paper, we 4 people together contributed the paper. In that case, is it possible that I can give 1 full mark to both first paper and second paper to me? So that is not correct. That is what the view of this particular author, wherein they wanted to give fractional weightage to different kinds of authorship pattern. So based on the fractional weightage, they want to calculate the collaborative coefficient. To what extent in this particular field, the co-authorship, collaborative research is vibrant. See, if CC is higher and higher, it means that there is higher probability of multi or mega author papers. If CC is less, means there is a less probability of having multi or mega author papers. Fine. And let me show you how you can calculate. It is a single formula. It says that, see, let us not confuse with this mathematical formula and all. I just rewrote the entire formula in a simple manner. You can just see here, the formula goes this way. 1 minus, please understand, 1 minus 1 into D22. What is 1? Single number of authors, 1. For author 1, that means if the papers are contributed by single authors, we give full weightage to them. So 1 into D22 means number of papers, 102. Okay, and plus 1 by 2 into D23. What is 1 by 2? Here, there are 2 authors. 2 authors are there. We have to split the credit and we are going to both authors. So 1 by 2 everybody. Okay. So 1 by 2 into D23. D23 means 48. Then there are 3 authors. Then you get 1 by 3. 4 authors, you have divided into 4. So 1 by 4. 5 authors, you have to give credit to all the 5 authors equally. So 1 by 5 into 1. So this way, you give fractional weightage to different authorship pattern divided by total publications 1083. So this is what 2000 here. You can see what is the collaborative coefficient. It is 0.03. That means the contribution of mega author papers are very, very, very meager. You can see here, no? Because singular papers are more in numbers and collaborative papers are very less in numbers. Quite contrast to this. You please come to year 2010 and you see singular papers are only 190, but remaining all are joint or multi-author papers. Here, if I use this formula, the answer is 0.56. That means there is a higher CC, it means a higher probability of mega or multi-author papers. So even CC can be calculated. Fine. Then comes MCC, modified collaborative coefficient. There are some problems with CC or DC, something like that. So to overcome the problems, they keep on modifying or advancing the formula. You can ask the question, sir, what is the problem with the previous indicators? Why they have found out modified collaborative coefficient? So there is a theory behind it. I think I will not take much time. I'll just tell you. See, for example, if you take, I'll tell you what is this collaborative index. I'll calculate later. So if you take collaborative index, okay, it is very easy to calculate. It tells you the mean number of authors, but it's given here. It is not easily interpretable as a degree because it's not having any upper limit. And apart from that, it gives a non-zero weight to single author papers. It doesn't give any weight to single author papers. To overcome this problem, they calculate DC. Why? DC gives 0 weight to single author papers. While calculating DC, we are not going to take into account the contribution of single authors because we bother only about the collaborative index. Why should we bother about the papers contributed by single authors? So that is the problem with the CI. So to overcome these shortcomings, in DC, I take only multi-author papers. Fine. So the problem of CI is rectifying DC. But in DC, what is the problem? DC gives equal weightage to all the multi-author papers. If a paper is written by 2 authors, or 3 authors, or 4 authors, or 5 authors, we give equal weightage to all the authors, 1, 1, 1. So that is a limitation of DC. To solve that limitation, in CC, what we have discussed just before, it gives fractional counting. I told you, no, if there is only 1 author, full weightage, 1 mark for him. There are 2 authors, 1 by 2 to each. So that kind of fractional weightage is given in CC. Okay. But there is a problem in CC. What is the problem in CC? Because CC fails to yield one for maximal collaboration. That means if all the papers are joint papers, and not even a single paper is contributed by single authors, then the answer should be 1. Maximal collaboration should be 1. But CC doesn't give 1 as a maximal collaboration. So to rectify this small issue, they came out with another idea called modified collaborative coefficient. Fine. So what is the formula? The same formula what you used for collaborative coefficient. Only one thing is added in the beginning. That is total publications divided by total publications minus 1. You calculate this, and whatever you get, multiply this with the collaborative coefficient what you found out previously, you will get the answer. The same formula, 1 minus 1 into single author, 1 by 2 into 2 authors, 1 by 3 into 3 authors, 1 by 3, 1 by 4 into 4 authors, 1 by 5 into 5 authors, divided by total publications. So this is the formula we use for collaborative coefficient. And this is to be multiplied by this answer. What is the first part of this formula? Total publications divided by total publication minus 1. If you multiply 1.009 into the collaborative coefficient, you will get the modified collaborative coefficient. So for 2000, this is the answer. For 2000, I think this is, I'll change it, I'm sorry. For 2010, the modified collaborative coefficient is 1.77. It's very high contribution of collaborative authors. Fine. Then comes compound annual growth rate. Is a very, very popular scientific indicator. So when you have publications over a period of time, you can find out what is the, instead of, of course, you don't calculate what is the annual growth rate. Apart from that, you can find out what is the compound annual growth rate. You can find out compound. What is the formula? Final year publications divided by first year publications, you get some answer. Multiply it with 1 by 1 minus 1, then minus 1. Fine. So what is the formula here? For example, final year publications, you can see here what is the final publication? It's 442. Fine. Divided by first year publications, how much? 55. 55 multiplied by 1. Then n minus what is 1? N means number of years of publication. So I have taken 28 years of research output for my study. So 28 minus 1, close the bracket, then minus. So what's the answer? Minus 7.74. So that is the compound annual growth rate. It means the research output in this particular discipline shows a kind of a declining compound annual growth rate because the answer is in minus. Fine. So using this simple formula, you can calculate the compound annual growth rate. Then comes dominance factor. It's very interesting concept. For example, I have contributed 40 papers in collaborative mode. It means I joined with other authors and I contributed around 1 minute, please. Okay. See, as an author, I contributed 40 papers in collaborative mode, but all the 40 papers, my name is not in the first author. My name is in the second name, third name, fourth name, fifth name. If it is so, what is my dominance? To what extent I dominate in this particular research field? Though there are a lot of collaborative papers, in how many papers my name is appearing as the first author? So that is how the calculation of dominance factor. Okay, it tells you NMF, that is number of joint authored papers of an author as a first author. See, for example, totally I published 50 papers, of which 40 are joint paper authors. So I joined with others, and in collaborative mode, I published 40 papers. Out of these 40 papers, my name appears as the first author in 15 papers. Okay, so what is my dominant factor? F13, that is as first author, how many joint papers divided by total joint papers. So my dominant is only 0.38. But if you take second author, he had 60 joint papers in which he appears as the first author in 46 papers. So his dominance factor is 0.77. Fine. So this we can calculate dominance factor. Then let me go to collaboration index. Two formulae are there. Let me show you both. The one is, it says that number of authors of total joint publications divided by total joint publications. Fine. So it's nothing but the mean number of authors, average number of authors per joint author publications. You take all the joint author publications and divide it by total authors, and you get the collaboration index. For example, E12. What is E12? E12 is the total authors of total joint author publications. Okay. For example, if there are 80 joint author publications, these 80 papers were contributed by 489 authors divided by D12. What is D12? Number of joint author publications. So what is the collaboration index? 6.11. But I was able to see another formula for collaboration index is given by Lavani. He says, here we have taken authors of total joint publications. But he says, don't worry about the total joint publications. You take total authors. Total authors divided by total joint papers. Okay. For example, let us see this case. G29. What is a G29? G29 is a total authors. For example, in 2000, 100 papers are published. You see both single authors, two authors, three authors. We take all the things, totally we had 509 authors, total authors, divided by D29. That is how many joint author publications are there. That is 80. The answer is 6.36. Okay. Though there is no much difference between this formula and this formula, but there is a slight variation which is thought out by Lavani. You can use any one you feel like. I will see both in the literature. This is about collaboration index. Let me go to the very, very simple one called AAPP, average authors per paper, number of authors divided by number of papers, and productivity per author, number of papers by number of authors. So it shows you, for example, D13 tells you number of authors divided by number of papers. And it tells you C13, number of articles divided by number of authors. So it tells you to find out how on an average, we have 2.5 authors per paper. Here, on an average, we have a 0.40 papers per author. So this is very simple to calculate. Average authors per paper and productivity per author. Then comes domestic collaborative index. Fine. I think I have a few more. Okay. So I think I'll end my presentation here. And let me come back to you with the second part of this presentation, where I will demonstrate you on the calculation of the remaining cyanometric indicators using MS Excel. Children boy. Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the session on calculation of cyanometric indicators using MS Excel. In the first part of this presentation, I was able to demonstrate you how MS Excel can be used for calculating a good number of, I think, 10 plus cyanometric indicators. And in this presentation, I would like to concentrate on the remaining cyanometric indicators. Before I proceed, I would like to seek for your apology, because there is a small correction or error in the calculation of annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate, which I found out. So you just forget about whatever we discussed in the last session, and you take into account of this formula for calculating annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Fine. The formula is, for annual ratio of growth, the formula is current year output / last year output. Fine. If you take annual ratio of growth for this 1993, it says current year divided by last year. What is current year? 53 divided by 55. So what is the annual ratio of growth? 0.96. Okay. It means that if 55 is taken as 100, then 53 is equal to what? It will be 0.96. So when you are comparing your current research output in respect with the previous year research output, you could see that you are able to achieve only 96% of what you were able to achieve last year. Last year, you achieved 100%, 55. This year, only 96%. That means you got only 53 research papers. Fine. But how you have to write the answer? Since the annual ratio of growth, you should write the answer in the form of a ratio. That means 0.96 is to 1. 0.96 is the current annual ratio of growth. 1 stands for 55. That is 55 is equal to 1, 53 is equal to 0.96. So this way you have to write the answer as a ratio. Then as far as annual growth rate is concerned, current year output minus last year output divided by last year output. Fine. That is 53 is a current year minus 55 is last year. That means if you're having a negative growth, we had 55 last year, this is only 53, so minus 2. So minus 2 divided by last year output 55, so you get the minus 0.04. So we have a annual growth rate which is in the negative form. So these two corrected formula you can use for calculating annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Okay, I think that's clear from my part. Now let me go on to the remaining cyanometric indicators. Let me start with this DCI. I think we have seen till this particular AAPP. Now we'll start the DCI. DCI stands for Domestic Collaborative Index. So when the authors are collaborating papers jointly with others, either they can have domestic collaboration, they can have international collaboration. So domestic collaboration means how many papers I contributed joining my hands with other authors who are in the same country. What is international collaboration? How many collaborative papers I have published by joining hands with the authors of other countries than my own country. Fine. So this DCA talks about the relative collaborative papers of your country, your single author to the rest of the world, to the rest of the world of authors. Okay. Let me see how to calculate this domestic collaborative index for countries. The same formula you can use for calculating domestic collaborative index of authors also. Fine. The formula says that there are two components as usual. Locally co-authored papers from a country divided by total numbers of papers of the country. This is one portion. So another portion, locally co-authored papers of all countries divided by total number of papers of all countries. Fine. So total number of papers of all countries. If you find out the ratio between these two, and that is a domestic collaborative index. For example, in India, total output is 200, collaborative output is 160. Out of 160, 130 we had local collaborations and 30 we had international collaboration. So how to calculate domestic collaborative index for a country like India? What is the formula? It says that F17, what is F17? Locally collaborated authors of India divided by D17. What is D17? Total output of India, that's 200. You get the answer. Divided by 1950. What is 1950? Total number of locally collaborated authors and contributions of the entire world. You take all the countries, totally 1950 papers are created out of local collaborations. So 1950 divided by 2670. 2670, there's a total output of all the countries taken together. So what is our DCI? 0.89. Okay. So this tells you, while you are comparing the world average in terms of locally collaborated research output, where do we stand? If you compare the DCA of other countries, you can see here, USA 0.91, Japan it is 1.10 because out of 480 collaborative papers, 401 are locally collaborated. So their DCA is higher in number and it is more than the world average. Fine. So this we can calculate domestic collaborative index. Then let me move on to ICI, International Collaborative Index. Same thing. That is out of the total collaborative research work, how many papers you have collaborated with the authors of other countries. So if you see the proportion, you get ICI. So you need 4 components. Globally co-authored papers of a country divided by total papers of the country. This is one portion. The second portion, globally co-authored papers of all the nations and number of papers of all the nations. This is another portion. If you divide this by this, you will get the ICA. Let us, it's an example. It is like India, total output is 200, collaborative output is 160, out of which 130 we have locally collaborated and 30 we have international collaborated. Now how to calculate ICI? F14. That means how many papers India has collaborated with other countries. 30 divided by C14. What is C14? Total output of India. How much? 200. So 30 divided 200 is one portion. But second portion, 520. What is 520? If you take the contribution of all the countries together, how many papers were collaborated internationally? How many papers? 520 papers. So 520 divided by 2670. What is the 2670? Total output of all the countries taken together. So as the answer we get 0.77 is our internationally collaborative index. So if you take China, it is 1.03. If you take Canada, it is 1.46. That means if ICI is equal to 100, means that we are at par with the average of the world. If DCI or ICI is more than 100, it means that our coordinated efforts are higher than the world average level. See, on an average, if world has got X as their collaborative coordinated efforts, our performance is more than the average if ICI is more than 100. If ICI or DCI, if it is less than 100, means that our collaborative efforts are not equal to the world average collaborative efforts. Fine, that's what DCI and ICI all means. Then comes averages. You can cover a lot of averages. Average number of papers per year, average number of cited references per year, average number of cited references per year, I think per paper per year, fine. Citation per paper, self-citation per paper, self-citations per year, simple calculations. And if you can calculate total number of papers and total number of years, then you can calculate average number of papers per paper. Very simple in MS Excel. So MS Excel can be used to calculate even this kind of very simple calculations too. Then let me go further. RCI stands for relative citation impact. You take your citations, the citations what you receive for your output, maybe an individual or maybe a country, and you take what is a global output of the entire nations or entire authors. If you see the proportion of these two concepts, then you'll get a relative citation impact. Fine. So what the formula? It says that if you want to calculate the relative citation impact of India, the formula is India's citation count divided by total world citations. And there is a mistake. Yes. India's citation count divided by total world citation. This is the first portion. And second part is India's production count divided by world production count. If you take these two and divide, you will get relative citation impact. It's very simple. Okay. For example, let us take an example here. You take India. India has got 120 papers, and India got 240 citations. If you take the entire world, we have 1,000 papers, and we got the world has got 4,800 citations. Right? How to calculate RCI? Very simple. D29. What is D29? D29 is the citations received by India. 240 divided by 4,800. What is that? That is the total number of citations received by all the countries during a given period. So 240 divided by 4,800, first portion of the formula. But second portion, C29. What is C29? These are India's production. India has produced 120 papers divided by 1,000. What is 1,000? 1,000 is the total number of papers published by all the countries during a given period. Fine. So what is the relative citation impact of India? It is 0.42. If you take China, it is 1.31. It means that if our RCI is equal to 1, it means that we are at par with the world average. If it is less than 1, it means that our relative citation, the number of citations India receives for her papers, the average citation is not at par with the world average citation. Fine. And this way, you can calculate a relative citation index of authors also. For example, there's an author, okay, he published 51 papers and he got 1816 citations for his 51 papers. And totally all these authors together, they contributed 259 papers. And for all the 259 papers, they would get 6654 citations. Now I can calculate relative citation index for each and every author. For example, let me do it for Ho. D47. D47 tells what is the citations Ho received divided by 6654. That is total citations of all authors taken together divided by these two components. C47, number of papers published by Ho divided by total papers published by all the authors. So this tells you the relative citation impact of each and every author. You can see here. This gentleman V has got 2.23, so he has got 2 times than the average citations of all the authors, and this is 0.34, 0.36. Their average citation is comparatively, when they're comparing the average citations of all authors taken together, the performance citation of these authors are less than the average. So you can calculate relative citation impact using this formula either for authors or for countries. Now, science production index is very simple to calculate. It just tells you what is the percentage of your contribution to the world research output in a particular given discipline during a particular period. Okay, for example, you take India. India has published 100 papers, and all the countries, maybe for example, this is a research output of all the countries in COVID-19. Only 5 countries have produced papers since beginning till this year, 1170 plus total output. And what is science production index of India? It's very simple, 100 divided by 1170. What is the science production index of China? It's a C9. C9 is 200 divided by 1170. This way, you can easily calculate science production index. It's nothing but the percentage of papers contributed by a single country in the total research output of the entire world. Fine. Science production index. Then comes publication efficiency index, and this tells you how many citations you received in a year and how many papers were published in a year. Based on that, they got publication efficiency index. So you publish papers, and what is the efficiency of your publications? It depends on how many citations your papers are going to receive. So based on the number of citations your paper receive, your publication efficiency is calculated. Fine. So how to calculate? It's very simple. Total number of citations in a year divided by total number of citations for all the years. This first part of the formula. Total number of publications in a year divided by total number of publications for all days. Another part. You divide first part by second part, you'll get the publication efficiency index. Let us see here. You take 2001, the publications are 1366, the citations are 31304. Fine. How can you calculate this publication efficiency index of 2001? It goes this way. D26. What is D26? Number of citations for 2001 divided by 519562. What is that? That is the total citations of all the papers in all the years taken together. This first part of the formula divided by C26. What is that? Number of papers published in 2001 divided by 17867. What is that? Total papers published in all the years taken together. Here you'll get the publication efficiency index is 0.79. Fine. And if you see here, the highest PEI is for 2009 and 2010. It has got 1.16. It's more than the average. Okay. And it is least in the year maybe 0.7 in first year, where you get a comparatively less number of citations and the efficiency is less. So when your publication efficiency index is more, it means that your papers are well received, well acknowledged, and well cited by the people in the particular discipline. The same way, you can calculate PEI of a country also. You can see here, India, total publications, total citations is output in 2020 and citations in 2020. Fine. So how to calculate PEI? It goes this way. F51, that is number of citations India received in 2020 divided by D51. What is D51? These are total citations received by India, this first portion. And second question, E51. What is E51? Total output of India in 2020 divided by C51. Total output of India for all the years taken together. So if you see, the India's publication efficiency index is 1.50, relatively a very good efficiency in terms of number of citations received by Indian publications. Fine. So both are possible. We can create one table for authors and one table for, one table for countries and one table for year-wise publication efficiency index of a particular discipline or a particular author or a particular institution. So you can do all those kinds of calculations. Let me go to next one. AAI attractive index. It tells you what is the relative impact of a country's research output in a subject field as reflected by citations they received during the period. It tells you what is the impact relatively when you are comparing your performance with the rest of the world in terms of citation, how relatively you are good enough. Okay, you can do it with the attractive index. To what extent your papers are attracted by other researchers in the same field in terms of citation. Fine. So what is the formula? The formula says that citations for India in 2020 divided by citations of India during the entire study period. This first part of the formula divided by total world citations in 2020 divided by total world citations for the entire study period. Fine. So this normally is calculated for an individual specific field. You can see here. Let us say India, total publications, total citations, and this is total output in 2020 and total citations in 2020. How to calculate attractive index G20, that is number of citations India received in 2020 divided by E20. What is that? Total citations India had, and you take this the first portion of the formula divided by 1424. What is that? 1424. I'm sorry, it's not 1424. I think it should be 1700. I'm sorry, 1700. That is 170. That is total publications divided by then total citations. Let us check this one thing. No problem. Citations for a country in 2020. So we have citations called G20 divided by citations for that country to the whole period. So total citations India received was 1200. What is that? E20. So first portion is correct. G20 by E20. But second part of the formula, total world citations in 20. What is the total world citations? 10,100. So what is that? This is total world citations in 2020. If you take 2020, what is the total citations? 1424. I think my first number is correct. 1424 is the total citations in 2020 divided by total world citation. What is the total world citations? 10900. So this tells you what is the attractive index, to what extent our contributions, our publications are attracted by other researchers. Okay. Maybe these activity index, attractive index, affinity index, these things are the different variations, different terms given by different authors. Sometimes almost have similar kind of formula, similar kind of results, similar kind of calculations. Each author has got his own way of defining cyanometric indicators. Fine. Let me go to transformative activity index. I think I told you about activity index. I think couple of minutes before, I think I told you activity index. I think remember how we calculated activity index, right? If you take this one, TAI, that is a transformative activity index, same formula. Only thing is what we do is that instead of calculating activity index for a single year, we calculate activity index for blocks. You take 2001 to 8, 2009 to 16. You calculate the total number of publications of the entire block period. For the block period, research output for a few years, if you take, and if you calculate activity index, then that is called as transformative activity index. And very importantly, what you need to do is that after calculating activity index for two different blocks, you need to calculate change in TA, change in transformative activity index. That means F17, that is transformation transformative activity index of one period minus D17 transformative activity index of earlier period. So current period, current block minus previous block. So that the activity index is in minus. That means you're comparing the relative research effects of countries in different blocks. As far as India is concerned, we could see relatively lesser efforts in the second part of the block. That is what the transformative activity index is all about. Both TAI and AI same. Only thing is TAI is calculated for the blocks, and you calculate the change in the blocks. Fine. You can calculate for 3 blocks, 4 blocks also, depending on your nature of data. Then comes INI, Internationalization Index. It tells you number of international links divided by total number of papers to the rest of the world into 100. Let us see an example. It's very simple to calculate. Internationalization Index. And these 2 or 3 indices like Internationalization Index and few 3 or 4, I think 2 or 3. These indices I have taken from a particular thesis, cytometric research work done by Mrs. Grace on infertility literature, a good friend of mine. Thank you, Grace, madam, for having given me this permission to use a couple of indices I have taken from your PhD research work. Thank you so much. This international index, let us see how to calculate. India has got 100 papers altogether, and out of which 29 papers are internationally collaborative papers. It's very simple. So what is our internationalization index? 29%. Out of total 100 papers, my 29 papers are internationally collaborated. For example, if you take USA, 300 papers, out of which 190 papers are internationally collaborated. So the internationalization index is 63.33%. Okay, it's very simple. Out of our total publications, how many percentage or how many papers are internationally collaborated? Okay, fine. Let me go next one, affinity index. It tells you what is the affinity between countries. So what is the affinity between myself, my country, India and USA, India and UK, India and Canada, India and China, in respect of publications in a chosen field. If you take a particular field of study, in that particular field, how many papers are contributed by India, joining hands with UK, USA, Canada, Sri Lanka. So to what extent there is an affinity between the countries in terms of publications. So affinity index, very simple to calculate. The formula says number of scientific links between country A and B divided by number of cooperative links between country A and the world into 100. So here I have just, let us see an example. I have given here India has got 2 not to publications, of which 56 with the USA, 89 with UK, 45 with Canada, 12 with China. Here I have taken only India's internationally collaborated papers. Okay, other papers are not taken into consideration. Okay, and here you can see the affinity index. See, India versus USA. How to calculate? D22. That is, what is D22? This is D22. How many papers India had collaboratively published with USA? 56 divided by 202. What is 202? The total output of India. India has collaborated with many countries. What is total output? 202 into 100. That means out of totally collaborated papers of India, how many papers are collaborated with the USA? A simple percentage calculation, we have 27.72%. If you see the affinity index of the countries taken together, India's affinity is more with the UK because we have produced 44.06 with the UK. Okay. If you take USA, they are closely associated with the UK and they are least associated with China. If you take China, they are close with Canada and they are least close with UK. So this we can find out to what extent countries are having affinity between them in terms of number of papers produced by them. It's a very good index, affinity index. Then comes RQI. So we have got 3 more indices. I just completed. RQI, relative quality index. It tells you the ratio of proportion of number of cited publications to total citations of the year. First quote. And second question is Proportion of total cited publications to total citations. This is also a measurement of quality. We talk about quality, we talk about citations. Okay. What is the formula? Very simple. Number of cited publications in 2020 divided by total citations of 2020. First portion of the formula. Total cited publications divided by total citations. This is the second part of the calculation. So let us see. In 2001, I published 1, 2, 7, 8 papers, out of which 730 papers were cited. That means remaining papers were not cited. And out of these 730 papers which got citations, the all 730 papers together, they were able to get 11440 citations. So what is my RQI? It says D23. What is D23? Number of cited publications divided by E23. Total citations received by 723. That is 730 divided by 11440. First part of the formula. Divided by 4151. What is that? Total number of cited publications divided by 70505. Total citations. Fine. That means we don't take into account all the papers published in a year or in a country. We take only those papers which receive citations. Okay. In the previous cases, we have taken total papers, total citations, total output of a country, total citations of a country. But here, in the relative quality index, we take into account only the papers which were cited. We take cited publications, we take number of citations, and we do a calculation. So this relative quality index for all the years you can calculate, for all the countries, for each and every country you can calculate, for an institution you can calculate, for an individual you can calculate, you can find out the relative quality index. Then comes RAI. This is relative activity index. For example, I give a live example. India has got 120 papers in computer science totally, for example, in a particular year. Out of these 120 papers, 28 papers were published on the subject cloud computing, 12 were published on artificial intelligence, 35 on machine learning, 45 on open source software. Fine. So this is what India has produced in computer science. Okay. Now, I want to calculate the relative activity index. So what is the performance of India in different sub-disciplines of computer science in a given period of time? Fine. So let me calculate for relative activity index of different fields. I take for cloud computing, the formula goes this way. The analyzed units world share of publications in a given field divided by the units world share of publication, all the fields taken together. For example, as far as cloud computing is concerned, what is the formula you need to use? D15. What is D15? This is the number of papers published by India during the given period of time on cloud computing divided by C15. What is 15? Total papers published by India in computer science. So total papers and number of papers published in cloud computing. Very simple calculation. Only thing is having a very big name and formula for all the things. Okay, nothing but the proportion of cloud computing papers published by India in a given period of time to the total papers published by India in the big domain called computer science. So if you see the relative activity index, we could see here, and machine learning and open source software are the most prominent research areas of India, because our relative activity index is higher in terms of voices. And if you take UK or USA, their relative index is strong in cloud computing. They're very strong in cloud computing. So this you can find out the subdomains of a particular research area where a particular country is more dominant. Either you can do it for a country, you can do it for an institution, you can do it for an individual. You can calculate the relative activity index. Fine. Let us move on to the last scientific indicator called time series analysis. Okay. This is a very popular one, and this particular indicator is used to find out, to estimate what would be the future research output of a particular discipline or a particular country, maybe after 10 years, maybe after 20 years, maybe after 30 years. So how we can estimate the future productive output of a particular discipline. So for example, I have taken a disease called vertigo research output. from 1992 to 2019. For 28 years, I collected data. So serial number, year, X is nothing but year, 0. It starts from, you have to start from 0, you have to go to 27. There are 28 years, you start from 0 and go up to 27. Then capital Y, it tells you number of publications. 1992, 55 papers are published in Vertigo research output. So year-wise research output should be placed under Y. Then comes capital X. Okay, it is the one you need to do by yourself. If there are 28 years, you divide it into 2 off 14, 14. So you go to 14th year and you type minus 0.5 and you keep on adding 1. 0.5. I'm sorry, for there are 28 years, you have divided into 2, 14, 14. For the 14th year, you are given minus 0.5. Then 13 minus 1.5, minus 2.5, minus 3.5, keep on increasing 1. And from 15th year onwards, you have to add 1, 1, 1 in the 0.5, 1.5, 2.5. That means earlier years will have minus symbol and later years will have a plus symbol. And if you see here, it starts from minus 0.5, it goes up to minus 13.5. In the later portion, it starts from 0.5, it goes up to 13.5. These things are in positive. So same. Some people say that, sir, we need not add 1, we can add only 0.5. You can do that also. No problem. For example, instead of adding 1, you can add only 5, minus 5. For example, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Only thing is, there should be an equal difference between the 2 years. Either you add 0.5 or you add 2 or you add 1, but add uniformly. But normally we take 1. We have 1 equal distance between 2 points. Fine. Fine. So this is calculated. This we are writing it. Then EXY. So minus 13.5 multiplied by 55. You get XY for all the years. You can calculate a simple calculation. Then X square. 13.5 into 13.5, both are minus, or result will be positive. This way you calculate X square for all years. So now we calculated sigma X, sigma Y, sigma capital X, sigma XY, sigma X square. So we have calculated all totals also. Now let us go for the estimation. So what is the least linear equation? It says that Y is equal to, Y means the future output, how much it would be, is equal to A plus BX. So A and B are values we need to obtain, and X is the year. What is A? A is equal to sigma Y by N. What is sigma Y? Sigma Y. What is Y? This is Y. What is sigma Y? G36, 7201 divided by, what is N? Number of years. How many years? 28 years. So 7201 divided by 28, you get A. 257.1786. So A value is calculated. Let us calculate B value. What is B? Sigma XY. What is XY? This is XY. I column. What is sigma XY? 27608. So I36. This is the sigma XY divided by sigma X square. What is X square? This X square, and this sigma X square, J36. J36. Okay. Sigma XY divided by sigma X square is equal to B. So we have calculated sigma, we have calculated A and B. Fine. Now we need to calculate X. So X is the year, future year for which you need to estimate your research output. Here I had seen two different calculations in many research papers. The very few research papers or theses have this kind of calculation in the sense. For example, you want to calculate how much would be the output of Vertigo research in 2025. How to calculate? It says that A plus BX. What is A? 257.1786. So F41. F41 is the A value plus, what is the B value? F42. 15.11138. So F41 plus F42 into, when you're calculating this year, I give you two different methods of doing it. The first method says that future year for which you want to calculate the research output minus the first year. But the first year 1992. If you want to calculate the future output for 2030, then 2030 minus 1992. If you want to calculate it for 2040, then 2040 minus 119. That means the future year minus the first year is being taken to calculate the estimated research output. You can see the estimated research output is slightly higher. 2025 it would be 755, 2040 it would be 982 approximately. Fine. But in a good number of these, I would see they have not used the beginning year 1992. Instead, they use the middle year. For example, if you want to calculate the future output of 2025, what it is that you take A value plus B value multiplied by 2025 minus, instead of writing 1992 as we have seen the previous case, you need to write 2006. What is this 2006? That is a 15th value. So there are 28 years. You divide it into 2 of 14. So what is the 15th year? 2006. After dividing into 2, what is the first year? 2006. So instead of using 1992 as even this particular formula, here you need to use 2006. The 2030 minus 2006. 2040 minus 2006. 2050 minus 2006. See, both kinds of calculations are there, but in most of the cases I had seen the use of the middle value. If you see here, comparatively the future estimated output is comparatively less. So this way you can calculate, you can do time series analysis for entire output. You can take only single author publications and you can calculate time series analysis. You can take only joint author publications and you can calculate time series analysis. So whatever kinds of future estimation you want to make, you can achieve it with the help of this time series analysis. So dear friends, till now we have seen how to calculate different kinds of cyanometric indicators with MS Excel. I hope we will be sharing with you this particular Excel sheet so that you go to any other databases, you collect data and you fit the data in these Excel sheets and you get the answers for all these cyanometric indicators. And if there is any suggestions, if you want to add more cyanometric indicators, you are most welcome, and best of wishes. Thanks so much.